If you're watching this video, then I'm guessing that you don't understand the f1.22 camera settings. So let's begin. I'm in time trial right now. You just go to settings, camera customization, and then you have all of this stuff. You can actually make it so that the camera settings are specific to each car in the game. So you can just turn this on right about here. There are only 3 cameras you can customize: TV pod offset, and then cockpit view. So first we have field of view. This one describes how zoomed in the camera is. So you can have a wide field of view, which looks like this. The main benefit is that you can see a lot more of what's going on around you, which is great. But the main problem is that if you look far ahead on the road, you can barely see what's up ahead. So what's further ahead can't really be seen very clearly. However, if we go for a more narrow field of view, just like that, you can also see much further ahead, which is great for looking out for any crashes in multiplayer. So this one's really up to your personal preference, but one thing you have to keep in mind is that with a narrow field of view, everything will look like it's happening very slowly. Like you'll feel like your car is going slowly. But if you choose a very wide field of view, the car will feel like it's moving very fast. So this one's up to your personal preference, really. And then we have these offset settings. So these are mostly self-explanatory. So lateral is basically moving the camera side to side. Say if you want to have the camera to the side even more, or you want to have it somewhere close to the middle, this setting pretty much helps you with that. And horizontal basically describes front to back movement. So you can move the camera as far back as possible or as far ahead as possible. And then you have vertical, which pretty much means how high or how low you want the camera to be. And then you have the angle. So this one basically allows you to point the camera much more upwards or much further down, depending on what you want. And then you have near clip plane. Near clip plane basically describes when should the game start making parts of the car transparent, because sometimes the way you adjust the camera, you might end up glitching through parts of the car. So for example, you see this airbox there at the bottom. Let's say we were to be glitching through it, then obviously you want to adjust the near clip plane. So as you can see right now with the camera, you can see that parts of the car's roll hoop is showing up on the camera, on the screen, and we don't want that, because you can see that when we're driving, it's a bit of a distraction to have that thing over there. So what we can do is we can adjust the near clip plane so that the thing just disappears. So you can see how it just gradually, see how it gradually disappears until it's like no longer there. So we no longer have to like see it. We can also go even further with it, and you can see we can make part of the bottom of the car disappear, but not too much, because you can see it doesn't really look that good. So we can always go back until it looks good, and then we can just stop there. Then next we have mirror angle. This one is specifically for cockpit view. So if you go to cockpit view and let's open up the field of view, you can see, so if you come to mirror angle, look at the mirrors, you can pretty much move them down or up to your preference. The next thing we're going to take a look at is camera shake. Let me show you what's going on right now. You can see how the camera is shaking every time I lock up and all that. However, if I go to settings and I turn it off, the shake should be almost completely removed. The game doesn't allow you to remove the shake completely, but it does allow you to reduce it significantly. Usually if you want to be like a fast play, it's usually best that you turn it off. If all you care about is being fast in the game, you have to turn this off. And then next we have camera movement. Once again, this is really just personal preference. You can see how when I accelerate, the camera gets pulled back. When I brake, it comes down. So you can leave that on, or you can turn it off. You can see now the camera doesn't really move backwards or forwards. And then the next setting is the look to apex limit. This is how it looks like when it's off. You can see how when we turn the steering wheel, the camera stays static. But if we turn it on, you can see how as we steer the car, the camera moves. This can be really useful if you're running a much narrower field of view, because when you have a narrow field of view like this, you can't really see what's going on to your side that much. But when this thing activates, it allows you to see the apex much more clearly. So we can turn the car in, you can see how the camera turns to help you look at the apex much more easily, which is very helpful in getting those faster lap times. Then the final setting is the halo column. So you can see how right now you have the halo column kind of obstructing your view. This is not what real life F1 drivers see. So this is not a realistic setting. So what you can do is you can turn off the halo column, which gives you a much more realistic view of what the drivers actually see when they're driving in real life. And you can see it makes a big difference in terms of visibility. So I highly recommend that you turn off the halo column. But if you want to know my camera settings, then click on the video on the screen right now.